Wadcutters for self-defense. I have some 38 Special and 32 Smith & Wesson long wadcutters to test today. And the 38 Special is a 148 grain. The 32 long is a 100 grain. And a lot of people advocate for using wadcutters for self-defense in short-barreled revolvers, because back in the day, there really wasn't that very good designs of hollow point ammunition, and to get something to expand out of a short barrel was difficult. And even nowadays, a lot of the ammo I test doesn't really expand very well out of short barreled revolvers. So I'm going to test snub nose revolvers. We got our Ruger LCR here in 327 Federal. If you didn't know, a 327 Federal will chamber and fire 327 Federal, 32 H&R Magnum, and 32 Smith & Wesson long officially. And other people have ran 32 Smith & Wesson and 32 ACP through it. So it's a very versatile revolver. Now we have our Taurus 605 and 357 Magnum to fire our 38 Special. So we're going to see what kind of velocity and accuracy we get in ballistic performance. You know, I looked for the information on velocity of this. All I could find is that I believe they're both rated at 730 feet per second. However, the tests I've seen with this stuff here, or at least some of the information I've read online, is that we don't get a lot of velocity out of this. We don't get anywhere near that. Like, people are reporting somewhere in the 500 range for velocity. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I'll explain here in a minute. So we are going to go through the chronograph, see what kind of velocity and accuracy we get at the same time. Then we're going to do our 10% clear ballistics test. I'm just going to do plain clear ballistics, and then after plain clear ballistics, I just got a layer of cotton here. And then 3 inches of clear ballistics to represent hitting pectoral muscle, a 1/4 inch MDF to represent hitting ribs or sternum, and to more clear ballistics. That's more of my real world test. But like I was saying before, velocity being really low isn't necessarily a bad thing, because a lot of times what happens is if you get just an average round, it'll over penetrate. But if you drop that velocity down, if you're not expanding, you know, you might do a little bit better with less penetration. And, you know, that's one of the things about wadcutters. You used to hear that people used to use like lead round nose and full metal jackets, and a lot of times those bullets would careen off skulls and stuff like that. The wadcutter is just a flat face. It's really going to cut. So we're going to do our ballistic test, and then I'm going to shoot from various distances, I think, with these revolvers at my full-size steel silhouette and see what we get for practical accuracy. All right, first up, let's chronograph our 38 Special, see what kind of velocity and accuracy we get. I'm about 5 yards from the target, 4 yards from the chronograph. It's rated at 730, but I'm really curious about what we might get. So let's see what we get. 554, 579, 607, 570, 604. Very low velocity, a little bit high of impact shift. You can kind of see why a lot of people use these for competition. A very accurate round. So 32 Smith & Wesson long. Let's see what we get for velocity with these. 491. Wow. 501. 522. 526. Get one more. 522. That's a better point of aim and impact on target, but that's laughable velocity. That is about as powerful as a 22 long rifle out of a handgun. That's very, very interesting. Does that necessarily mean it won't do well? I don't know. Let's hit our ballistics gel block and find out, see how they actually do. All right, first up, I'm going to do our best case scenario, just plain clear ballistics. Nothing in the way that could impede this penetration. Let's see what we get with our 38 Special here. Outright 32 Smith & Wesson long. Let's take a look. All right, I'm relatively surprised with this performance. I thought for sure we would get under penetration, but the thing about these flat noses is that they will retain a straight path very easily because there's not really anything deflecting them around. So what we got for penetration is about 15.5 inches with our 38 Special, and with our 32 long, we got about 12 and a half. Both have interesting damage there, like they did okay. Both are acceptable penetration, which is very interesting. Now let's see how it does after going through our MDF and see if that makes any difference. All right, a 1/4 inch medium density fiberboard, 38 special. All right, try that same thing with our 32 Smith & Wesson long. Let's go take a look. You know, I kind of laugh when I shot that 32 just because of the very low recoil. It just pops like a cap gun. And we can see right here, we got perfectly cut out chunks of that MDF. And that's kind of its main selling point a lot of times, is that you're not going to deflect when you hit something. If this were a rib or something, if you're just clip the top of a rib, it's not going to deflect up and away. And that's kind of a thing that I have against people that say 22 is just as good as anything else. They think that they made a good shot, and they might, but what if they hit a rib? Well, that bullet's not going to impact behind that rib where it hit it. But something like this actually would. But what we're seeing here with penetration is with our 38 special, we got a penetration of about 11 1/4 inches. I'm going to call that acceptable, because that MDF is a 1/4 inch and it takes away a lot more inches of gel, you know, as we can clearly see. And I would say that's perfectly acceptable for our penetration. Now with our 32 long, we got about 7 1/4 inches. I think that's a little bit shallow. I would say that's probably not enough that I would want to carry for self-defense. But with our 38 special, and that's the one most people are probably going to want to see, I think that was acceptable. So let me shoot at my steel silhouette and just kind of see what we get with these, because, you know, follow-up shots and stuff like that is something that can be difficult with other rounds. Maybe not so much with these. Let's see what I get. All right, I'm about 12 yards from the target. Let's see what our 38 special does. I'm just going to aim center mass and see where we hit with these. Huh. Got a misfire. Interesting. Now, being a revolver, if this is a self-defense situation, I'd risk the fact that that round might go off when the cylinder's rotated and keep firing. But since we're on the range, let's wait. Very light primer strike. That would indicate a hard primer, and you sometimes see that with foreign ammo. So let me go single action. This will give a little bit harder strike. All right, let me keep going here. All right, so I aimed about 4 inches below that group there. But overall, pretty accurate and easy to land those. So let me shoot them a little bit quicker. Get a sight picture, pop them off. See how quick I can land these shots. Here we go. And they all went over the top, because my natural, just normal aiming hold with my muscle memory, you know, that came into play with how those were impacting. We saw on paper they were jumping up high. So something to note, because you might have to note to aim low with those. All right, 32 long. Fire slow, see where they hit. Somehow skipped a round. Now I'm going to do that same thing here with our 32 long, where I fire a little bit quickly. The speed loaders, these are ridiculous in here. They're too short to even work. So you might have to have a different option for loading, because it's not even lining up because it's too short. You would have to be up here and drop them, but I can't do it. So I'm just gonna have to carefully let go of these. I thought that would work, but nope. All right, and do exactly what I did with that 38 here. I pull one. Let me back it up to 25 yards. Maybe, you know, they're shooting high. Maybe they'll start to drop down at that range. So let's see what we get. All right, 25 yards being this far, I'm gonna fire a little bit slower. So let me start with the 38 special again and see if there's a different shift with that point of impact. So I'm just gonna aim center mass, see what happens. All right, a little bit high still, but not particularly high. 32 long. All right, that's fun. Let me back that up to 50 yards now. All right, 50 yards. Now we might start getting some drop, and maybe it will be right where I want to be with these. So 38 special, 50 yards. See how these do. All right, yeah, one went a little bit high. All right, 32 long. Let's see what this does. All right, seem to have lost one. Now let's move back to 75 yards. All right, 75 yards, 38 special. If I can make a hit. Another light primer strike on these 38 specials with the hard primers. I'm gonna carefully open this because I know it's a light strike. Yep. Go single action on it. All right, I missed one. 32 long. Now at this distance, I'm going to start wondering if we're going to lose some momentum and just be all over the place. I'm not sure. Let me see what I can do. Yeah, kind of what I suspected. Let me try to aim high. I suspect they hit low, but I'm not sure. Yeah, we have some very increasing difficulty with that. And that's the thing about cartridges, you know, you start losing momentum. You start losing accuracy. That's why theoretically at like this distance, 45 ACP is more accurate than 9mm. Because we just have that momentum that cuts through everything. Cuts through the wind, it cuts through a lot of stuff. So I'll keep going with these 32 longs, see if I can figure out where to hold to be reliable. The one hit I made, I was aiming at a headshot. Let me aim high shoulders. No. All right, I'm gonna aim above the target headshot area again. Okay, that's about the hole I need. Can't tell where they're impacting, but I am aiming about a foot high of center, so. All right, let me keep going. I made the same holds. It just, you know, we're losing that momentum, which just kind of throws everything around. Now with our 38 special, a little more velocity and 50% more weight. It gives us that momentum we need, so let me keep trying. Keep missing one. All right. This too. This is very fun. Very, very accurate rounds for this gun. All right. Got 3 left. Let me fire them real fast and see what happens. I didn't think I was gonna hit. I just wanted to kind of see what would happen. So what I'm seeing from this test, we're definitely seeing some clear answers here. And the clear answers are with the 32 Smith & Wesson long, at least for this load, that velocity is way too low. Now, if we push that up to about 700 feet per second, I think we'd have a decent load. But at the velocity we're at, it's just too little. Once we get out there at distance, because it has such a light bullet weight, we're losing that momentum and it kind of just goes wherever it wants to go. And when we hit the gel block there, same thing here. Not enough energy to have enough momentum to penetrate deep enough. But when we look at the 38 Special, everything I'm seeing about the 38 Special is acceptable. We had perfectly acceptable penetration. If you go by the FBI and IWBA standards, we had perfectly enough penetration. And even go through MDF, I would say that's enough penetration because we were just shy of 12 inches after going through MDF. That's impressive. And then our accuracy, you know, a little bit high from 12 yards. That's my only concern there. You know, my muscle memory of shooting rounds like this, it's slinging them up too high. That's because they're shooting so slow. You know, typically when you shoot a round of ammunition, you know, you pull that trigger through, that bullet is leaving that muzzle, and then the gun recoils. When you get down in the 500 range, what's happening is before that bullet leaves that muzzle, you're already jumping up from recoil, and it's jumping it and it's going high. So that's why you're seeing high impacts at 12 yards, at 5 yards. But when you get to like 25 yards, these are slow enough that drop starts to happen. So that while they're slinging up, once they come to 25 yards, they've come back down. And we're seeing the same thing at 75 yards, where they're slinging up and they're, you know, we're at a trajectory of like this probably. So at 25 yards, we're probably still hitting a little bit high. At 75 yards, it's come back down to where it's going to be lined up with our muzzle pretty much. So I'm going to say yes for the 38 Special, no for the 32 long. You know, the 32 long, you know, it was like shooting a cap gun. That's great. I think it would work in the right situation, but reliably, no. This seems like it would reliably work, and we still got pretty low recoil. So that's what you get today with our 32 long versus 38 Special Fiocchi Wadcutters. So as always, comment, share, and like, and thanks for watching.